Okay, well, today we're gonna do basic cam craft. I've got a hockey sock of old cams here. Some of these are more than 20 years old. Got Camelot style. Here's an old Wild Country Friend original, number 3 with the rigid stems. Those are circa early 80s. Later, you know, kind of in the 90s, the wired stems came into play. So I've got a little bit of everything here. The fundamentals of placing cam, I call them SLDs or SLCs today, spring-loaded cams. Multiple different brand names now, but they're all the spring-loaded style, and they all feature kind of the same kinds of approach for placing, either parallel cracks, could be tapered cracks as well, flaring in, flaring out. But we're going to just cover first we're going to do the basics, and then we'll get into a little bit of more advanced stuff later. Okay, so we've got a horizontal crack here. And one of the first things, especially if you're climbing in an area that either hasn't been climbed that much, or it's not, the cracks aren't clean. You can see here we got there's a bit of dirt. And if you try to place a cam, you know, in a dirty crack, you're not against solid rock. So you basically want to make sure that, you know, you've got bare rock when you're placing a cam. So I'm using a nut pick to kind of clean the crack out there. And you know, essentially you're selecting a cam that is not going to be, you know, too tight of a fit, but you don't want it to be too closed as well. So I would say that's this number, this is a number 3, and it's a number 3 technical friend. The number 3 is about a perfect size for this crack. And if you were to place it, you know, like that, that's great for an upward, of course, an outward, even a left and right. It will rotate, but basically the principle is you want each of the cams to be touching the rock. You want the rock to be flat. You don't want the cam too closed, like, you know, if the crack is too tight, that would be you know, something like that would be too much. You want to kind of, you know, be in the working range, and you don't want it to be too wide either. So we'll just get in a little closer here, and so here we are. We're compressing the trigger and we're placing it, and you can see it's still got a bit of room, you know, to go to get close. So that's a pretty good fit. For fairly simple placements, it's essentially as simple and complicated as that. The cracks get bigger, the cracks get smaller. You don't want the cam to be too closed where the back sides, you know, of the cam are touching the rock on either side. That's too tight. And you don't want it to be, you know, too open either. And sometimes you can get, you know, a crack where a couple of the wheels are flicked open, you know, and you don't want to have that either. So that's essentially the main points for spring-loaded cams. So to summarize, you know, quickly, make sure the cams are placed, you know, within the range. You know, if it's looks like that, that's probably too tight. Now, if that's all you got, it's all you got. you know, and that's also how cams get stuck. If you've got, you know, a selection, then try to get the cam to be a little more open, you know, something like within from here to maybe there on the outside, you know, at the maximum, you know, there, you know, clearly when the cam's wide open, it's no good either. So the placement range for every cam is the first thing. The second thing, make sure the cracks are clean, that you're not placing a cam on dirt, which would then compress and then make the cam useless. That being, you know, the other thing I didn't mention was if you're placing a cam behind loose rock, you know, in the rock moves, of course, the cam's no good.